Pull a strip of packing tape across a cardboard box and press it down firmly with your thumb, and it grips almost instantly, strong enough to hold that box shut through a crowded warehouse, a bumpy delivery truck ride, and a hard drop onto a doorstep somewhere across the country. Keep pulling from the same roll, though, and the next length of tape peels smoothly away from the layer underneath it, over and over again, with nothing tearing and nothing sticky left behind on the backing. The same material that refuses to let go of cardboard lets go of itself constantly every single time someone reaches for more tape to use on another box. How does one thin strip manage both at once, gripping one surface permanently while releasing cleanly from another surface entirely just inches away? Let's get into it right here on Small Things. Two jobs, one strip. Tape on a roll isn't actually avoiding contact with its own backing at all. Whatever it might feel like when it unwinds so smoothly and quietly, each wrap presses directly against the layer beneath it as the roll winds tighter around its own core, and the adhesive genuinely does bond to that surface, just the way it bonds to cardboard. The real difference is how strong that bond is allowed to become in each specific case. Against cardboard, the adhesive is meant to grip as hard as it possibly can and hold there indefinitely. Against its own backing, that same adhesive is only supposed to hold on loosely enough to unwind cleanly on demand. The strip was never really built to treat both surfaces the same exact way. The brick on the shelf. It did not begin with packing boxes at all. It began with a much older, more basic problem. Early adhesive tapes that worked perfectly well unrolled but became nearly unusable the moment they were wound up and stored for any length of time. In the 1920s, as pressure-sensitive tape first reached the consumer market through products like masking tape, manufacturers ran straight into that exact same frustration over and over. A tape sticky enough to hold securely against a surface was often sticky enough to bond permanently to its own back the moment it sat coiled on a shelf, turning a perfectly good fresh roll into a solid, useless brick within just a few weeks of sitting there. Solving that problem meant treating the two sides of the tape as genuinely separate design challenges instead of thinking of it as one uniform sticky strip. Manufacturers began applying a distinct coating to the side directly opposite the adhesive, specifically to keep that particular surface from bonding tightly whenever adhesive pressed against it under the pressure of being wound into a tight roll. That single addition, small and easy to overlook once it's finished, is what actually made a tape roll practical to manufacture, ship, store on a shelf, and eventually sell to a customer in the first place, decades before anyone was taping shut a single cardboard box destined for an online order. The switch to clear plastic packing tape came considerably later, spreading through the 1960s and into the 1970s, as strong polypropylene film finally became cheap enough to produce reliably at genuine industrial scale, rather than remaining a costly specialty material reserved for niche uses. Global shipping was expanding rapidly during that same period, and cardboard boxes needed a fast, clean way to stay sealed through longer and rougher journeys than earlier packaging methods like string or paper labels had ever really been asked to survive before. The plastic film itself changed dramatically over those decades, growing thinner, clearer, and considerably stronger with each new generation of manufacturing improvements introduced along the way. What never changed was the basic commercial requirement sitting underneath all of that material progress. A roll had to sell off a shelf, survive a warehouse, and still unwind cleanly on the first try, or none of the rest of the engineering mattered at all. Two surfaces, two treatments. So what's actually different between the sticky side of a piece of tape and the side facing outward on the roll? The backing itself starts life as a plastic called biaxially oriented polypropylene, or BOPP, made by melting polypropylene pellets under intense heat and forcing the resulting liquid through a narrow die into a thin, continuous sheet. On its own, straight off the die, that sheet is soft and tears about as easily as ordinary plastic wrap does. Stretching it lengthwise first, then sideways in a machine called a tenter frame, pulls the plastic's internal molecular chains into tight alignment in both directions at once, which is exactly what makes the finished film thin, genuinely clear, and surprisingly difficult to tear, despite measuring only a fraction of a millimeter thick from edge to edge. Only one side of that finished film ever gets coated with adhesive. Acrylic adhesives, water-based and somewhat slower to bond, hold up remarkably well against sunlight and temperature swings over long periods of time, which suits tape meant for storage or shipping that might sit around for months before it's used. Hot melt adhesives, made from synthetic rubber blended with resins, bond almost instantly under light pressure the moment they touch a surface, which suits fast-moving warehouse lines where speed matters more than long-term aging resistance. The opposite side of the film gets a completely different treatment entirely, one that has nothing to do with sticking to anything at all. A thin release coating, often silicone-based, gets applied specifically to that back surface to lower how strongly adhesive can actually grip it once pressed against it. When the roll gets wound during manufacturing, the sticky side of one wrap presses firmly against this treated backing on the layer sitting beneath it, and a real, measurable bond does genuinely form there between the two surfaces. That bond is deliberately kept weak, engineered carefully through the coating's own chemistry to hold on just enough to keep the roll intact through shipping and sitting on a store shelf while still letting the next length of tape peel free with a light, steady pull rather than resistance building up layer after layer. 4 different properties: stickiness, strength, and how easily a roll unwinds sound like they should all move together naturally, as if a tape that grips harder should also naturally be tougher and release more stubbornly at the same time. Manufacturers actually test these as separate, independent properties, each measured its own way. Tack measures how quickly adhesive grabs a surface under light pressure within the first instant of contact. Tensile strength measures how much force it takes to snap the strip itself in two. Tear resistance measures how well the tape resists ripping further once a cut has already started at the edge. Unwind force measures something else again entirely: how much pull is actually needed to peel one layer free from the one sitting beneath it on the roll. A tape can score genuinely quite high on one of these properties and remain fairly unremarkable on the others, simply because each one comes from a different part of the underlying design. It's tempting to think of that release coating as a simple on-off switch, present or absent, when it actually has to hit a narrow target. Too little grip and a roll would come loose and unravel on its own inside a delivery van or a crowded bin, no cutter needed. Too much grip and it stops releasing cleanly at all. A roll stored somewhere too hot or left sitting untouched for years past its useful life can still end up bonding tighter than intended, which is exactly why old tape sometimes tears itself apart trying to unwind instead of peeling away cleanly. What goes wrong? A warehouse manager stocking up on fresh new supplies right before her whole team relocates to a much colder regional distribution center switches the entire operation over to hot melt tape specifically, since acrylic's noticeably slower initial grip becomes genuinely frustrating to work with quickly once loading dock temperatures drop close to freezing during a typical overnight winter shift. At a quality lab, A technician unwinds sample after sample at a fixed, controlled speed on a testing rig, listening carefully for the specific pitch of the peeling sound and rejecting any roll that shrieks instead of hissing quietly and evenly, since a louder unwind usually signals the release coating isn't behaving the way it's actually supposed to under normal conditions. Someone taping shut a box pulled out of a dusty garage presses a fresh strip down firmly with both hands and watches it lift right back off the cardboard within seconds, the adhesive doing exactly its job while a thin layer of dust caught between the tape and the surface quietly refuses to let it actually make proper contact underneath. A packer running a fulfillment line for hours barely notices the constant, steady peel of tape leaving the roll behind her all shift long, a sound so consistent and expected by now after months on the job that she'd only ever notice its absence if something about that particular roll suddenly went wrong somewhere down the line. The sound of the balance. Pull tape off a roll again right now, wherever you happen to be sitting, and listen closely to that same steady, even peel it makes as it comes free. That sound is the release coating doing exactly what it was engineered to do all along, letting one layer separate cleanly from the next without tearing, without leaving sticky residue behind, and without any real fight against the roll. The same strip that grips a cardboard box hard enough to survive a warehouse and a delivery truck ride was never designed with just one kind of stickiness in mind. It was built deliberately with two sides doing two completely different jobs at once, balanced closely enough that most people never notice either one actually working at all. If this changed the way you look at a roll of packing tape sitting on your desk, let us know in the comments below what you want us to explore next in a future video. We might make it our next episode. Thanks for watching. History often hides in the smallest details.